Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Welcome back, Sports Rancher Nation. All right. Thank you for joining us once again. All the million sports ranters around the world. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Nick, for joining us here again. Nick brings the logic, I bring the edge, and Jake brings that chaos, right? And so, if it hurts your pride, we talk about it here at the Sports Rancher, right? And so we don't care if you're a Patriots fan. We've been gloating on Sam Darnold, and I just want to be the first here to give congratulations to Sam Darnold, who was drafted as a Jet, won 14 games with the Vikings, and yeah, I'm doing the same thing here. I'm doing the same here. Like this is just crazy. So anyways, let's go back to the Super Bowl real quick. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to cover the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about some Hall of Fames, maybe some snubs, and finish with some other topics. But anyways, Nick, please, let's recap real quick about the Super Bowl. We talked about a lot of this stuff, same as last year. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I think 2 years in a row, Sports Ranter had it right. We said last week if you know all you know weird things happening, both teams bring their A game. The Seahawks should blow them out. It ended up being a blowout. The game was close because the Seahawks kept settling for field goals. So um, the Patriots hung in there a lot longer than I thought. But honestly, the Seahawks could have won that game by 40. Darnold missed a few throws, some wide open guys. He missed Jackson Smith and Jigba twice. Darnold didn't have a great game, but he didn't turn the ball over, and that's the story. He didn't turn the ball over all postseason, and he led the league in turnovers. So that's the sign of a veteran quarterback. That's the sign of, hey, I'm if I don't turn the ball over, we got a great chance to win. And a feel for the game. That's something that has impressed me. We talked about it. The NFC game, NFC Championship game was the Super Bowl, but in that game, it wasn't. Oh, Darnold, you just gotta not turn the ball over. Like he had to go out duel Matthew Stafford. They realized in that game he had to put up points, and he did it. And then they knew, and I knew they knew this going in. Um, that he didn't need to have to do that against the Patriots team. Like I know that was the game plan. They were played conservative, leaning on you know Walker and in the run game. But the thing that I'm just going to highlight, before I pass it to Jake is, you know, McDonald took the field goals. He took the points. What a wild concept, to just kick a field goal, you know, and not once, not twice, not three times, 5 times. We haven't seen a coach kick 5 field goals in how long? Because they're going for it on one of those. They're gonna try to put the nail in the coffin, like everybody says. You got to put your foot on their throat. And McDonald um, he was just like, no, I'm gonna trust my team, trust my defense. Points are valuable. I'm gonna put the pressure on the Patriots to score. I'm just gonna take my points here, and they were. I believe the stat was right, but if not the bottom four, the least team, but they're in the bottom four of a team that goes for it on fourth down. So we kind of talked about it, and I just want to reiterate that this whole analytic thing has gone way too far, and especially in the playoffs, it becomes way more, you know, magnified, and that's just something I loved it. I never thought one of those is like, hey, just take the points and let your defense do its thing. And yeah, it was nothing surprising. Sucked that it was like a lame game, but nothing surprising. It was exactly what we thought and what we said last week.
Excellent. Jacob, uh, please give us your take again. We had some great shorts on again, but please give us your take again on real quick on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, just overall, I like this. Obviously not a very exciting game to watch. We all kind of love to see the shootouts and the lead changes, which we got a lot of that, all throughout the playoffs. But I think the Seahawks, this is just a perfect example, showing that you don't have to pay a quarterback $60 million a year to be successful in this league. And this is this is always kind of why I feel like Super Bowl titles are not, it shouldn't go into defining, I think, the overall legacy greatness of quarterbacks. But you know, the defense, obviously we always say defense wins championships. I'm so happy for Sam Darnold because, you know, it goes to show, man, there's quarterbacks come into this league and, you know, we write them off so quickly as a bust or whatever. And it's like they're not always going to be a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or these guys, but finding a guy like a Jared Goff or a Sam Darnold and building a team around that, you don't need to have those guys. You know, the Seahawks, this was hands down, man. This is there's not another team that should have been, well, they should have been there because of this. The Seahawks, the defense steamrolled all season long. You know, Sam Darnold, when he was asked to go put up points against the Ram, you know, he put up points. When he's asked, you know, go in, not make mistakes. You know, against a team like the Patriots, you know, we're gonna kill them by 1,000, death by 1,000 cuts. You know, like, you know, field goal. Nick's exactly right. You know, they take the points, and then all of a sudden, pressure starts coming on. Patriots got to get out of that game plan, whatever that was. I still don't know. You know, but yeah, I think it was good for some of these franchises to realize, you know what? Like, we don't have to sit and wait for this franchise quarterback before we can start actually building an organization. Seattle went in; they had $76 million invested into their defensive players going into this 2026 season. They got a few free agents and all that, but they got a lot of money to spend. You know, they got about, I think it's 75 million in cap space, something like that. To go spend on players and then retain some of these free agents for their defense. Obviously, you know, signing Sam Darnold is going to be a big one. But as I said on, you know, my post on Sunday, I think Sam Darnold would be smart to take a look in the mirror, realize what he offers, what he's capable of, and stay with Seattle. You get a good 3-year, $30 million contract with Seattle or something like that, $30 million a year. You know, you're sitting pretty. But yeah, the game was a little slow. The Patriots, I like it. You know, I said on Sunday, I don't understand how teams don't have more of a one or two-step drop. Just get it out of your hand. Seahawks came out after halftime and looked like, you know, they started doing that, to move the ball when their running game kind of slowed down. But, you know, it doesn't take a genius to see that Drake May is off. His timing's off. He's obviously looking scared. He got pressured like crazy. That left tackle gave up more, obviously more pressure, to the quarterback than anyone in history, whatever the hell. It's like, find a way to run a drag route. I mean, God, when we played flag football, I always had like 3 guys running drag routes, like somewhere to just be able to look and get the ball out of your hands, for the love of God, man. No, Seahawks, it's awesome because they put this team around a good quarterback. Didn't have to be great. They showed the league that it doesn't always have to be a Mahomes or an Allen or a Lamar or a Brady, whatever. You can build teams, franchises other ways, and the Vikings are close to that as well. Still got to have a competent quarterback, but that's why Jared Goff's been so successful. The Lions were almost there too. Goff is another one of those guys where I don't think either of those guys are going, if you are going to get in a shootout and you need to put up 40 points, and I don't really trust either of them, but against some of the elites, but you don't need to. When you're smart, you take your points, you have your defense, dominating defense, and so yeah, not a very exciting Super Bowl, but I'm happy for Sam Darnold, and I'm happy that the Seahawks kind of showed that you can build a really dominant team. Still, in today's passing NFL, you can build a really dominant team through defense, through protection, good coaching, and
Sam Darnold.
Always go with the analytics. And Sam Darnold. I'm not taking anything away from Darnold. Darnold's been great, but he did lead the league in turnovers. The guy did not have a great game. He missed a lot of pass He seemed to have a hard time leading receivers. And yeah, he didn't throw any picks. He didn't turn it over. But there were a few that should have been.
It's okay.
Should have been played. So
it's okay. Just to tie up much on what Nick had said with McDonald going with the points. The kicker Myers is the first player ever to reach over 200 points in a season. That's how much he decided to use this guy and go down and take the points, right? Nick, we've talked about that a lot. Football 101. And so we're seeing a lot of these college coaches or these new whatever coaches might, go for it on fourth down or not take the points, right? It's as simple as taking the points and you move along. I'll never forget, Nick, when I was in the stands in El Cap, Ron Burner, and I screamed that shit out loud in the middle of the stand. Same thing, 101. He didn't go for the kick. Instead, he went for it. They lost the game. And I just yelled, get the points, right? And so anyways, that was just a quick take on the Myers part. I also want to say thank you to the Seahawks for coming back full circle and returning this Super Bowl, kind of taken away from the Patriots because that first handoff back-to-back, Marshawn Lynch, the year of the Beastquake. The year of the Beastquake, you don't give it to Marshawn on the one, and I understand they still back the call to this day. But thank you, Seahawks, for making that lined up and snatching a freaking Super Bowl kind of away from the Patriots again. That's kind of where I'm at, with all that stuff. And so real quick, I just want to remind the Sports Ranter Nation that if it's not fun, we don't do it here, okay? If it's not fun, we cut it off. That's all we do. But also, please leave a comment if sports ranting is a requirement in your life, okay? Please don't forget that, okay? So, moving on to the Hall of Fame snub, Mr. Jacob. And Nick, why is Bill Belichick a snub? I mean, obviously we got the whole cheat thing or whatever, but like you said, Jake, he's got plenty of work that's untarnished with several teams, not just the Patriots, right? And so, what the hell's going on? We'll move on to more Hall of Fame stuff that people got into the Hall of Fame, but let's start with the snub of Belichick. Who wants to go first?
I'll touch on it just real quick. Like I said, obviously the reason why, first off, who's voting? These Hall of Fame, these Hall of Fames. They're sports writer, journalists, this and that all over the country. I'm not sure how you become qualified to make these kind of decisions, but first and foremost, so obviously what anybody's going to tell you that probably snubbed him, that with the ability to vote and snubbed him was, well, you got the Deflategate and you got the what was it, stealing signs, stealing plays, whatever, Spygate. But Belichick for 20 years snubbed reporters all over the NFL. He was he was somebody that didn't give a lot during interviews and stuff. So there was probably some personal, just, hey, I don't like this guy. I'm not gonna vote for him first ballot. It's like Deflategate and stuff like that, the deflating the footballs. It's like, do we know? Obviously, we know Belichick knew about it because it's his. But was it like proven? Like, if you want to take it to a court of law, was it proven, or is it really opinion that we think? Well, he must have known, kind of thing. He's the all-time winningest coach. He's all the accolades, all this and that. How if he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame coach,
who is?
Then
right?
I think then I think it's kind of it diminishes being selected as a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Everybody that's been selected in the past, I think it really diminishes that. I'm sorry, it just does. It's like saying Michael Jordan wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Are you serious? So I don't put too much stock into it, because I think at the end of Belichick's, I think when he's on his deathbed, that's probably, first ballot Hall. That's probably not something he's going to remember. It's the Super Bowls, it's the wins, all that kind of stuff. So, Robert Kraft, why they have owner Hall of Famers, I don't even know that. But if you want to snub the guy because he got busted for going into fucking rub and tugs or whatever, I couldn't care less. That's disgusting. But But yeah, so obviously Belichick should be there, but I don't think Belichick gives two shits if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. With his body of success, I don't think anybody's going to stand in the same room with him and tell him face to face he doesn't deserve to be there.
Great point. Before I pass it to you, Nick, I want to see that press conference of him asking about it. I just want to see his face. He's probably wearing a hoodie. He'll probably say, who gives a shit? Next question, right?
26-year-old gorgeous.
Yeah. Under the, she's probably under the desk.
I don't think he's gonna care.
All right, Nick, what's up, brother? Tell us about this snub.
I mean, I'm gonna say what I say, but I'm not disagreeing. But we just seen this before, I will say, when you have scandals proven, you were fined. I know you said in the court of law, but I'm a Raider, and so I watch those Patriots closely. Corey Dillon had fumbling issues before you get to the Patriots, and all of a sudden the guy doesn't fumble when he gets there. How many fumbling running backs are there with the Patriots? It is a lot easier to hold on to the ball when the ball's deflated, okay? So I'm not saying that's why they won. I'm just saying, where Bill Belichick was brilliant, and again, he would bend the rules, is he would try to give himself any edge. As we know in this game, it's literally a game of inches. We've seen it. We've talked about it time and time again. So is it the main reason why they won? No. But did it put them into just a little bit of a better situation in general and give him a little bit of an advantage versus the other teams? You can't tell me he didn't. Again, we don't truly know how many years he did it for, all that stuff. So we just know, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. I'm not arguing that. Obviously he's a great coach. He was the great defensive coordinator for the Giants, all that stuff. So I understand that. But we also know these, like you said, Jake, whoever gets qualified to vote, we all know they're petty. They're same thing. I mean, we can talk about Barry Bonds. The guy was a Hall of Famer before he was on roids, but you get caught doing a little something, they're gonna hold you out. So I mean, he didn't cheat to that extent. Obviously, he's just a coach, but I think it was just that pettiness. I mean, that's the only reason why. If I can respect the fact it's hey, he got cheated twice or three times, whatever it was, he doesn't deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Fine, I can stomach that. That's fine. You can call it petty, whatever it is. He did get. They did lose first round draft picks. They did get fined. They did the NFL did punish them. So therefore they did something wrong. So
did he get caught though?
Yes, they got
caught. So why? So let me ask, why would? Because I've always wondered this. If they're deflating the football and it's giving them that much an edge, they're not fumbling. Brady's gripping the ball better. Who touches more of those footballs than anybody on the field, week in and week out? The referees. How do the referees not notice it, but they're making that much of a difference in the game?
Great point.
Shouldn't that be something that the referees are looking at?
Not they touch flat. The ball they're not flat. But one of the other coaches who alluded to it, if we go back, if my memory serves me right, they pointed it to the refs prior to the game. They said, hey, because the balls all get checked prior to the game by the refs, and they get the air pressure checked. And then afterwards, their trainer guy would deflate them, 1 psi or whatever the hell it was, whatever Tom Brady wanted or whatever, all that stuff. But again, you can't neglect. What's the term? You can't play the I don't know when you're the head coach. You just can't. That's your team. You need to know what's going on. So whether I don't know. Like I said, if my memory serves me well, I don't know if what officially came out. Bill Belichick knew exactly what was going on. I don't remember the details of that. I just know that the team as a whole was doing it. And Bill Belichick, what we do know of him, he micromanages everything, and he knows that rule book inside and out. So I would find it very odd that he didn't know. If anything, he probably told Tom Brady, Hey,
Yeah, but
if
it's still
there's a
proven
little
guilty, though.
edge, if you drop it 1 psi, ain't nobody gonna notice, but it's gonna help us out. Like he would do that. He's the one that goes through the rule book inside out. Rabel took it from him too, and we've seen Rabel as a coach take advantage of the you know penalty, the loophole with the punting and taking a penalty, false start, taking time off the clock, all that stuff. Where did he learn that from? He learned that from Belichick. So
Well, okay, but so you're saying that the referees, and we will turn this into this, but I just I like playing devil's advocate with it. But referees check the footballs before the game, right? So they're okay, they're all deflated or they're all inflated properly. Then they go out and they're touching those same footballs the entire game. You can't tell a difference. Like they can't tell a difference that they've
I
been
don't think
deflated.
so. I don't think they're really, again, they weren't deflating them to where like your fingerprints get into them. Like it wasn't that, but
Is it that much to really help? Like to help, give an advantage to not ever fumble the ball? Or
well, okay, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say is, why is it a rule then? Right?
No, I totally agree. But
again, I can't give you the statistics of what the advantage is. All I know is somebody knew they were doing it. It's against the rules, and they broke the rules. It's the same thing like, okay, with Barry Bonds and steroids. Like, did it make him a better baseball player?
No.
Let me answer this question real quick, Jake,
You know?
if you don't mind. I mean,
What's up?
there's kind of an age element with these refs. I mean, you would think they can't see. There would be a little bit younger thing. These refs have not touched hard balls in a real long time. So they would know, okay? Like, it's just ridiculous. We can go on
There's
about this
different
ref.
types of balls. You have the kicking balls. The same ball gets thrown like on both sides. Like
Still, these guys have been referees. But they're so old. They've been refereeing for 25, 30 years.
I think that's a great point.
They've been repping 20, 30 years. They've touched plenty of them. You should be able to tell like that. What is deflated or not. The other thing is what seems, again, court of law, what seems more probable that footballs that the referees aren't even necessarily can't even tell the difference, or it's a scandal by the entire NFL and they were told not to. But that's another thing.
Whoa.
Or is it an organizational plot to deflate these footballs that came from Belichick down, or is it one quarterback, one assistant quarterback coach, where somebody goes, hey, take a little bit of air out of these things, then is it one guy and maybe Belichick didn't know? I mean, it is possible that it was one guy and maybe they didn't know. Maybe he didn't know. All I'm saying is, of course he knew. We all know.
Play the other side too, like the devil advocate.
That basis, the most winningest coach of all time, you completely devalue the whole concept of a first ballot Hall of Famer for a coach, based on a technically theory.
100%.
Until you have an email to somebody from Belichick saying deflate these footballs, then you've completely
we gotta look at the facts. Then why did they get fined? That's all I'm trying to say. Why did they lose draft picks? And then he got caught again for the second time recording. So it wasn't just Deflategate. He also was doing illegal recording of the other team. Like, that's just blatant cheating. It is cheating. That is proof. You can't tell me it was just some random assistant coach wanted to go film to make Bill Belichick proud. Bullshit.
I'm not arguing.
And they got caught again afterwards as well. So
I know, and ultimately it always, of course, does come to the head coach. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, it's like, was Belichick recording? Did somebody catch Belichick?
That doesn't count. That doesn't matter. If he's getting the information, then Belichick is using it to his advantage. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I would be much more reluctant to vote in first ballot because of the recording. That's blatant.
Well, look, kind of what Nick said. Like, it's Bill Belichick, and they had success for a long time, and when you win all the time, you're not hunting, you're the hunted. And so it's like, I would agree. If I'm Bill Belichick and I'm always being freaking hunted because we always got Tom Brady's stupid jawline on the damn, TV all the time. It's like there's a lot of pressure. I have to find a way to win, and so it's like all things goes. If I'm Bill Belichick, I don't give a shit, right? Like, was it worth it?
I'd rather have them do their own cheating than have the referees cheating for them like the Kansas City Chiefs.
But to move forward into the next segment, talk a little bit about some Hall of Fames that got in this year. I wish Drew was here because he'd want to argue with me on who I think one of the best linebackers ever of our time with Luke Kuechly. He would say probably Patrick Willis. They both had similar careers, same amount of time, both kind of had concussions and whatnot, but just to kind of argue a little bit, Drew, Jake, to get you ready, I want you to talk about Drew Brees if you can, and Nick, you're going to talk a little bit about Larry Fitzgerald if you can, okay? But while I'm going about Luke Kuechly, same thing as Bill Belichick. I think the difference between Luke Kuechly and the rest is he literally just tried to find an edge, in a particular game. He had his broad skill, but he was so smart to hone in and scout in one particular game what his weakness was, where he can fill in for his team. He was such an intellect in that linebacker spot. He's one of the main reasons why I became a Panther fan, him and Ron Rivera. And so I was lucky to be able to see him play. Unfortunate that he's not there, but shout out to Luke Kuechly. I believe deservingly so, a first ballot Hall of Fame. And also I do believe Drew Brees is deservingly so. What do you think, Jake?
I mean, Drew Brees is absolutely, perfect Hall of Fame candidate. 20 years in the league, the guy, what he had the Super Bowl win and all that. The guy from a elite talent was a guy that didn't necessarily, he had good teams around him, bad teams. For a 20-year career, you're going to have, success with every kind of situation around you. But 80,300 career yards. The guy found ways to win every single year. Just one of the most accurate, prolific passers, of all time. And he was a small dude. He was 6 foot. That was his knock coming into the league. He wasn't a big, strong, tall guy that could rely on his legs, but his knowledge of the game, his ability to read defenses, and his ability to really be a field general, on the, a smart football player, he's absolutely deserving to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's I think he could probably best, God, I almost said top 5, but it's definitely top 7, 8 of all time for sure. He's just one of those guys where it's like, when they say, in that era, you had the Brady, you had Manning, Breeze, and God, who else am I missing? Probably Eli was there, and Rivers, kind of Russ, but he was one of those guys where it's like, hey, in any situation to go down and have a game-winning drive, Drew Brees is your guy. You're gonna feel good every time. He found ways to get it done. He was badass. I love Drew Brees, and boy, his last season with the Chargers. Thank you, AJ Smith, just for letting him walk. But Miami. God, I got a buddy that's a big Miami fan, and just that day that off season when it was Culpepper and Breeze, and Miami signed Culpepper instead of Breeze. It just haunts him, in infamy forever. But no, just he was. I forget how many games. I know he averaged 17 games, through his career, but I forget what his consecutive starts were and all that. Because with the Saints, I can't remember him really missing games. But no, obviously, I have nothing but praise for the guy. I think it was amazing and definitely, deserving out of anybody in this class is to be a first ballot. So.
Yeah, real quick. It's been so long now, but I think most viewers forget that, Drew Brees was a Charger. He started out a Charger, and we all know what happened with that. Thanks, AJ Smith. Nick, we've been playing fantasy football for a long time. And I remember once that you had to go get some Larry Fitzgerald. So fill our viewers in a little bit on how that was and how deserving this man is off the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, this one's just automatic. It's not really anything you can even say negatively about this guy. The one thing I admire the most, we talk about the receivers, diva receivers all the time. He was the exact opposite. He was what you call, a gentleman on the field. Like he was just, would give the ball back to the rep like that. I just love that. I just love that. He was a true role model. We talk about all these other, thugs and divas as role models, and I'm just like, they're not role models. Just because you're in the NFL, you're not a role model. He was a true role model. This play speaks for himself. I think he had the best hands, one of the best hands of all time. The guy, if it was in his vicinity, he just made incredible catch after incredible catch. And, second all-time in receiving yards, obviously only behind Jerry Rice. But, like, he was amazing to watch. I love that he played his career all with one team at the Arizona Cardinals, who don't have this, great history. But he made it his history there. And he gave us one of the best playoff runs ever, one of the best Super Bowls ever. I will never forget it when they played the Steelers. But that whole playoffs, he was on a mission, just, I'm going to go win this thing. And I was so sad that, he got robbed of that. He totally deserves a ring. If you know his personal life, obviously he's got a great personal history too. But yeah, no, he was. I mean, if he didn't get in, I don't even know. He's 100% deserving. And yeah, he was just a madman for, I don't know. He played 17 years, at least 12 of those. Yeah, he was relevant. Like you had to go get him. He's gonna get you, 1,000 yards, and 8 to 10 touchdowns. So
much fun.
And he did it all with, I mean, he had Kurt Warner for a while, but not the greatest quarterbacks there throughout his whole career either. So he was amazing to watch, and yeah, I'm happy for him to get in.
I will always remember Larry Fitzgerald, and we can talk about the offensive accolades all we want. What happened? What happened, Nick? You're off. Oh, okay. But the offensive accolades for Larry Fitzgerald is amazing, unquestionable, but I will always forget that Super Bowl play, interception. That's who Larry Fitzgerald was. He still ran all the way back to tackle Harrison at the last bit. Nick, you're still off. I don't know what happened. Oh, okay. But yeah, he ran all the way back to tackle Harrison, and that is just symbolizes who Larry Fitzgerald was. And I was just so happy to see him up there sitting next to Drew Brees, Luke Kuechly, and Vinatieri. Jake, did you want to say anything about Larry Fitzgerald at all?
No, I mean, no. Nick covered it. Just a guy that a guy that sticks with one franchise, who was clearly, it didn't take long. It didn't take many years to see that Larry Fitzgerald was going to be one of the elite receivers in the league, one of the best all time. Didn't take a long time for everyone to see that, and it's just like those kind of guys that there's something different about those kind of guys that opt to test free agency and maybe take less money to stay with the team for their entire career, 17-year career or whatever. How many seasons did you play? I forget.
17.
17, yeah. But there's just something to be said about a guy that for 17 seasons where you were obviously going to be, everybody saw it, one of the best all time, to stay with one franchise. That's so rare, but it says so much about the man's character. And I really love that. I really do. So yeah, Nick pretty much hit everything, but I mean, clearly Larry Fitzgerald is just one of those slam dunks, just class act off the field and on the field. And, his hands were impeccable. So
And also, real quick, we don't want to spend much time here, but just to talk about that era, I believe you cannot give credit to both Peyton Manning and Tom Brady without mentioning Adam Vinatieri. So, Nick,
Oh yeah.
please, what do you
Do
think?
we have to talk about it?
No, we don't have. I know, I know. I'm sorry, but please.
No, I mean, yeah, we've seen so many, kickers not ruin, but
Ruin.
yeah, unfortunately,
Here we go.
you know, ruin some legacies. I mean, a couple off the top of my head, just the Tony Romo when he was the holder couldn't make the kick. That's not the kicker's fault, but just a kicking game in general. The Minnesota one where he missed like a 27-yard field goal, I forget, in the playoffs. Obviously the Bills were one kick away from winning Super Bowl. So yeah, I mean, obviously it started with the stupid tuck rule and Vinatieri making 2 field goals in the snow, one to tie it, obviously after the tuck rule, one before. We saw him try to kick in Denver. Couldn't do it. Like, pretty hard to kick in the snow. Homeboy nails it. Like, I think he literally himself won 2 of those Super Bowl. Obviously, you got to get down there. You give credit to the offense. You got to get down there and all that. But at the same time, like, he's got to kick. If he's not the kicker that he became or he is, I mean, the Patriots have 3-4 less Super Bowls. Like, seriously, like, it's not even if ands buts about it. They don't even get to some without him, And so, his value is for sure in the record books. And as far as playoff kicking, nobody has a better track record. Nobody is more clutch than Adam Vinatieri. So, unfortunately, it started against the Raiders, but you know what? He carried that through. We've seen kickers make big kicks and then they fall apart. He never fell apart. He stayed true to himself. He continued to be a clutch kicker even after the Raiders. So give him credit. He's an amazing kicker. And yeah, he's if a kicker's deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, he's definitely the one.
Excellent. I want to take my hat off to Adam Vinatieri because one of my criteria to become a Panthers fan when the Chargers left San Diego and I was depressed for 10 days and I had to make a new decision, one of my criteria was you couldn't have a Super Bowl. You couldn't have a Super Bowl. Otherwise, you're a bandwagon guy. So I had to pick a team just like the Chargers, a team that did not have a Super Bowl. And the reason why the Panthers do not have a Super Bowl is because of Adam fucking Vinatieri. Last second field goal in 2003. Whatever, blah, 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 blah. Jake, so...
and this was back in a time when kickers, there was no analytics. Like, you made those. I mean, he had two Super Bowls where, I mean, everything's on the line to make the kick to win the game. 2 Super Bowls. You don't have a lot of kickers in the league anymore that can do that because, I mean, the way teams go through kickers now, like we do fantasy football, and sometimes if you stream kickers, you're just like, who is this guy? Like, it's so teams were just letting go and signing kickers left and right, and it's like, back in the time when it was like, if you're a kicker, I mean, there was no. You make those kicks like there was no analytics and all that stuff. That's another slam dunk. So.
Fantastic. Well, what we're gonna do here is end the show with you guys with a question, a little coach scenario. We've all have sons or nephews and family. We've all been on the field our whole lives, right? And so I've been dealing with a few situations that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about and see how you guys feel. Obviously, fantasy is over. Football is over. So we're going to have to fill in some more with some other content other than draft day and free agency and all this stuff. But anyways, to end the show, Jake and Nick, let's just say you're a coach. You're a baseball coach, okay? You're at the third base.
You talking Little League here?
Little League, okay?
Okay.
Your player does his little crappy half slide into third base because he doesn't want to run, right? So he does his little step, twists his ankle when he slides because he doesn't want to slide, right? He just, and so he's hurt, right? And we're asking him, hey, what's the pain level between 1 and 2? Or no, 1 and 10. And he's like, 3, you know? And then, so as we're trying to get him to stand up and just, hey, walk it off, before we even had a chance, Dad in his sandals and buku drinking shake, whatever, comes and picks him off the ground, carries him, pats him, and carries him off the field before, like, it's like, what the hell just happened? Like, so anyways, Nick, start me off. It's baseball. We all grew up. There's no crying in baseball. What are you gonna do when that happens?
It's so tough because the whole PC world nowadays is like you can't say anything. But I'll just be completely honest. I mean, I think the dad's doing the kid a disservice. I don't know him, but you know, the coaches I know nowadays have to pass an extensive amount of background checks. You have to take safety classes. You have to. I mean, I've done them, right? So it's not like back in the day where you just got, drunk dad, bad news beard coming coaching your little league team. That doesn't happen anymore, right? Like you actually have responsible, and I'm not saying you're just putting your whole faith in, but from the stands, I watched my son. He fell. He scraped his ankle, his wrist playing on the asphalt for basketball. And I'm just like, he better just get up and he better keep playing, if he can walk, and I'm not running out on the court to pick him up. You gotta let your kids be, a little tough. You gotta be able to fight adversity. That's what sports is all about. Again, barring any crazy significant injury, and that's what the coach is there for. Hey, let me evaluate really quick. Is the ankle broken? What's going on? Okay, it's not. All right. Hey, it's a pain tolerance thing. Yeah, you rolled it. We've all rolled our ankle there. Hey, try to walk it off. Let's see. Put some pressure on it. Let's see where we're at. For him not to even give you guys that amount of time, it's tough. But honestly, can you even say anything? I don't even know. Because then you get sued by dads and shit. I don't know. Nowadays, it's just so crazy. I don't even know what you can sue over, what you can't, what you get into. So, unfortunately, where we are in the world today, you just have to be like, what's up? But, the only thing you can do as a parent is as a coach is I try to have that meeting up front with the parents. Hey,
good point.
If you have an import before or after practice, fine. But during practice, during the game, let me coach and all that kind of stuff. Obviously I, say it very nicely, very professional, but I try to have that conversation. I have their kids' best interests at heart. I don't want any kids to get hurt. And, we will handle it as coaches, and all that stuff. But, at that point, if they're still going to run on the field, that's more of a personal thing. And that's unfortunate.
What do you think, Jake? What do you think? What would you do, sir?
Well, I mean, obviously they're kids. If a parent's coming out to, scrape them up off the dirt and take them off, what am I going to say? It's like, that's your, and yeah, I'm kind of watching my, I'm not a doctor either. Maybe the kid did break a spaghetti bone or something like that. I don't know. But, so when a parent gets involved, like, and wants his kid off, I'm not going to say anything, but there's a reason why that kid is acting that way that he is, where, any little nick.
There's a reason why he doesn't know how to slide.
Well, yeah. But like if he's loafing it and he's running half-assed and all that, and then he gives a slide and then he's hurt and he wants to get out of the game. I mean, obviously, that effort's not there. But I tell you what I would do though. I mean, this is just to get creative, taking me back to the old Barona management days. I would indirectly, I'd use it I'd be like, all right, next game, that kid ain't starting, or that kid ain't getting a lot of playing time. And when dad comes running over in his flip-flops, and his Joe Biden sticker, I'm going to be like, you came in mid-game and you scooped your kid off the dirt. And, I had no idea what's going on, so I don't know if he's hurt or anything. So I'm going to minimize playing time till based on what your actions were. I'm going to wait until I'm comfortable to make sure he's not actually hurt. And I'd kind of go about it that way because,
Next
as much
practice
as
is sliding practice.
but
Can't participate.
At the same time, a kid like that, depending on the leagues, if this is rec league, like the kid's giving a half-assed effort like that, and then he wants, he wants to be taken out of the game. Like, I mean, he don't want to be there, either. So he's one of those. It's just, that's the reason that they got a bench. Get at the end of it. I will say this: my cousin's kid is in travel ball now, or he's been for a long time. Baseball. He's in He's gonna be a freshman, so he'll be playing for the high school. But I went to a lot of games, and it was pretty much every game where these parents were just screaming at each other. Like it is still as much as we talk about it's a game, let the kids play. Parents nowadays are just out of control. Yep. They're just out of control. We're talking.
Great point.
We're talking like fights. We're talking literally like
cheating,
screaming fights. Like, in the parking lot stuff. And the kids are just absorbing all. It's such a disgrace. And baseball, for whatever reason, is so. Maybe it's the stress on all the traveling and all the money that the parents got to put up with to get their kid. It just puts them over the edge or something. But it's just getting worse every generation, because then these kids are going to have kids, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I've always wanted kids and all that, but I'm looking at the silver lining that I don't have to raise kids in this time where the parents are as childish as our children,
or more so. And we talked about this last time. They're more childish, and they let their kids take over as the boss.
Yeah,
that's what's happening in today's world.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so it's a shame.
Well, look, I really appreciate you guys' honesty. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. More of those cool questions are going to come here at the Sports Ranter. For those of you that are watching, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know the situation that you've been in, and then we can go ahead and talk about it here at the Sports Ranter. Football season's over, which means we get to talk about free agency and where these guys are going. We get to talk about draft day coming up at the end of April, in which case we'll discuss it, you guys. But for now, it goes, we take a break after draft day. But Jake, I want to let you know, this is the Sports Ranter channel. We can talk about baseball and the Padres and what's happening, right? Fit it in here and there. So we can talk about anything here. So that's what's happening as the show moves forward, guys. Once again, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Nick, for joining us here again on Tuesday. And thank you to Sports Nation once again. All right. So with that said, peace be the journey and one love. Take it easy, guys.
Later,
See
guys.
you next time. Great
guys
show.
Are good for Sunday, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
If Andrew can't go, I'll ask one of my brothers or something, but I already booked it. Huh?